Hi everyone, and welcome to this easy hips and glutes rider Pilates session. This is going to be the perfect session if you are new to the idea of doing rider Pilates and just need a little bit of idea of how to strengthen and mobilise around your hips and glutes, or if you just want to have an easy session because you've been working really hard recently and you just want to do something constructive without overloading your body. So let's just make sure before you start that everything is set up where you want it to be. So you want that nice elastic spine, just helping you to stretch up nice and tall, but making sure that you can maintain that elasticity and softness down through your arms and fingers. Make sure you're breathing into the base of your lungs. Try to think about having your pelvic floor lift onto floor 3. So 0 is the basement, ground floor. Basement is when you're doing a P. Ground floor is to 0. And floor 10 is when you're clenching everything in sight, so you're lifting to that floor 3, and make sure that you can keep breathing whilst you're doing it. Soften your knees and make sure you've got equal weight through both of your feet, so check in with your heels, base of your big toes, base of your little toes. You want that feeling of a tripod of weight down through your feet. Then bring your hands together, turn them over, push your hands forwards and reach up, and then come back down. Apologies if my hands are disappearing off the top of your screen. So again, you're going to reach forwards and up and really feel that you just lengthen and mobilise everything down through your sides so that we're not holding any tension down through into the pelvis before you start. So forwards and reaching up. And then bring your arms back down by your side. Okay, we're going to get going with some walking. So you need to have opposite arms and legs. Now, if you are new to this might look like the simplest exercise in the world. It is possibly one of the most complicated to do. It's the one that when I do these face to face, most people end up at some point getting completely confused, so don't panic. But you do want to be, as well as doing your opposite arms and legs, thinking about where your ribs are going, making sure they're not swinging forwards. If I do from the side, you're trying to avoid your ribs, pushing your tummy forwards. Keep your ribs feeling as if they're sinking down into your pelvis. Okay, we're now going to make this a little bit harder by having one foot in front of the other. So you're still going opposite arms and legs. The side view should look something like this. So your pelvis is moving forwards and backwards. You're not just on the spot, but again, as you come forward, watch that you don't lose all that momentum out through your ribs. You're controlling that movement, so it's coming from your pelvis, a little bit like you would when you're doing rising trot. As you come up into that rise, you're leading the movement through your pelvis. Okay, then let's swap and pop the other foot in front. I'll stay sideways. You can probably get a better idea of the ideal technique for this one. So again, your pelvis is moving forwards and back, but you're avoiding those ribs swinging forwards and up. Your pelvis leads the movement as your weight moves forwards and back. Okay, let's bring your arms back down before you lose all circulation in them. We're going to move on to a nice hip mobilising exercise. It's called hip openers. Just go carefully. If you do find that you're stiffer on one side, do not force it. You can give yourself some quite bad hip pain if you force anything, and I'm quite passionate about encouraging people to be really cautious with that, because there are a lot of people out on social media at the moment who perhaps don't have masses of health education in their background, and who are perhaps pushing people to do things, particularly with their hips, in the search of better mobility, which you really shouldn't be doing. So take it easy. If it's uncomfortable, don't do it, and if you've got a stiff side, just go carefully, don't force it. So you're going to bring one leg up, out and down. That was a bit of a lecture, wasn't it? There we go. And swap the other side up, out and down. You should come to one of my face-to-face classes. Sometimes the tangents we go off on, quite incredible. It just depends on what I've read in the news or in New Scientist on that particular week. Okay, so keeping your upper body still and really trying to make this movement come from your hips. Thinking about when you're in the saddle, you do need to have a degree of mobility in both hips so that you can sit astride comfortably. Okay, we're going to reverse that. You're going to take your leg out, forwards and in, out, forwards and in. So again, keeping your upper body nice and still, and make sure this is coming from your hip as much as possible. This is also a strengthening exercise for the leg that you're standing on. because the glutes on that side and your hip flexors and various other muscles are having to really hold you up. Okay, make that your last one. I'd like you to stand with your legs as comfortably wide as you feel happy to do, without hurting anything, without feeling your legs are going to slide apart. We're going to do a gentle adductor stretch. These are the muscles on the inside of your thighs. When we do a stretch, we're not trying to make a tissue longer, we're just taking it through its full available range. So you're going to go over onto one knee. Now you may feel that you get a stretch on the inside of the straight thigh. If you don't and you want to feel a gentle stretch, just bring your shoulder down towards your foot on that side, and then we'll come back up. We'll go to the same side again, so over, and if you want to add in that shoulder for a little bit of extra stretching feeling, then by all means do. We're going to do one more. Okay, then we're going to go to the other side, so over onto the other knee. If you feel that stretch, great. If you don't and you want to, then bring your shoulder down towards your foot and come up. And same thing again. And up, we're going to do one more, just the same. Okay, then I'd like you to go to the end of your mat so that you're facing down the length of your mat with your feet together, your knees nice and soft. Tuck your chin into your chest and slide your hands down the front of your legs, feeling that you're curling up through your spine as you go. Pause for a nice breath in at the bottom, and then breathe out. Tuck down with your pelvis and then feel like you're uncurling through your low back, mid back, upper back, through your neck and your chin. And again, chin into your chest. And this time try to visualise that every single vertebra is moving through your neck, upper back, through your mid back, through your low back, so that your pelvis is the last bit to move. Another breath in at the bottom. This time breathe out, bend your knees, and we're going to go down onto your mat. You're going to lie on your back, and I'm going to teach you some really simple but very effective hip control exercises, which are so beneficial for how precise you are with your leg aids in the saddle. We're going to start with an exercise that's called the scissors. You might know it by other names, I know it by the scissors. Have your hands onto these lovely headlights you've got here. That's going to give you positional feedback about what your pelvis is doing. As you do these next exercises, you want your pelvis to stay still so that you are moving from your hips. Remember, if you are in the saddle and your pelvis is starting to move, that's your seat, and the horse is going to feel what you're doing. If you want to move your leg precisely for a leg aid, you don't necessarily want your seat coming with you. Okay, so think about those ribs sinking towards your pelvis. We don't want them bulging upwards towards the ceiling, because that's not going to help you in the saddle either. Pelvic floor onto floor 3. You're bringing one leg up to what we call tabletop, so 90 degrees at knee and hip, and bring that leg down. Then bring the other leg up to tabletop and slowly back down. So you are alternating from side to side. This bit of you here staying completely still. I like to think of this bit of our body as being a really secure, stable base for our arms and legs, our hands and our seat, our leg aids, arm aids, hand aids. They stay completely independent, but they are connected by this nice, secure, stable section in the middle. Remember to keep breathing, and if you can, keep that pelvic floor onto floor 3. Just watch those ribs, make sure that they're staying down towards your pelvis. Okay, let's move on to another exercise called the hip twist. Again, you might know this by a different name. It's the same principle. This bit of you stays still as you roll one knee out to the side and back up, and then do the same with the other side. So now you're again with your hands here on your headlights, watching that you're not rolling off with your pelvis. You want that to be a specific movement from your hip. If one hip is stiffer, just go within what it can do comfortably and easily. All of these exercises that we're doing on your back today are what I call wine glass exercises. If you're teetotal, choose your favourite beverage, cup of tea, coconut water, whatever it is, and you want to have that feeling that if you had a cup or glass of whatever your favourite drink is balanced on your still knee, your knee is so still that that drink is still going to be there when you finish that repetition. I have tried this not with actual liquid but with wine glasses. It's really hard, but it does show you just how hard and precise you need to work in order to achieve that. Okay, Then let's move on to an exercise called the single leg stretch. Same starting position, so again you want this bit of you nice and secure and stable, soft, but staying stable. Headlight staying still, and you're sliding one leg straight and back up, and sliding the other leg straight and back up. Now if you were doing this on the floor, you'll probably find it's a little bit easier than doing it on grass. If your feet are catching on your mat, then just shuffle yourself a little bit further down the mat and you get a little bit of an easier slide. But again, keep this bit nice and still, because what I sometimes see happening is as the leg straightens, your back arches, your ribs go upwards, and you lose all that connection from here. Is just lost. And that's where, if you're watching someone doing sitting trot and they've got a wobbly head going on, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, they're losing all that control and stability through here. Again, it's a wine glass exercise, so really try to keep that still knee absolutely still. We'll do one more with each leg. Okay, then we're going to turn onto your side, and I'd like you to have your legs straight. When you're lying on your side, you want to have what I call a little mouse hole underneath you here. Now mine's a reasonable size. Remember though, a mouse can fit through a hole the size of a pencil, so it doesn't need to be that huge. You're aiming to have that so that your spine is parallel to the floor. In the saddle, we talk a lot about riders who collapse to one side. So essentially, that's where you might be lying on your side, like this, but your tummy has sunk down into the floor and you've got a curve through your spine. You want to be working to try and keep your spine parallel. That means you've got a nice, like a T shape, so horizontal here, vertical here, everything is in an equal position before you start working your legs. If you can, have your top hand onto your headlight. If you find that you wobble, things on the floor is fine. Going to lift one leg, lift the other leg, and bring them both back down together. You will notice that I make this really small. If you try and make it too high, it's almost impossible to get that bottom leg up without sinking down through your tummy. So keep it small. This is a hard exercise to do because of the precision element, but it's a really good one for getting that precision of hip movement and glutes activity, and loads of other muscles as well, but trying to really keep this bit of you nice and still. Remember to breathe if you can. If you find that this is a bit uncomfortable, this position, then by all means pause and go and get a little bit of extra padding, so a folded towel underneath the side that you are working on. Okay, last one, and then we're going to turn around and do exactly the same thing the other way. So I will spin round and park my head in the sun. So same thing, if you can, top hand onto your top headlight, otherwise just fingers on the floor for a little bit of balance. Mouse hole position open, float the top leg, bring the bottom leg up and bring them both back down together. So it's a little lift, both back down together. Keeping it small so that you don't sink down, so that you're not collapsing. So actually when we talk about riders collapsing in the saddle, a lot of that is down partly to awareness, but a lot of that is down to weakness around your glutes and various other muscles around your hip and pelvis. So this sort of exercise here, where you're really consciously working your glutes muscles and thinking about your spinal posture and position, it's a really good way of helping to tackle any collapsing that might have been identified for you. Okay, let's now go onto your hands and knees. Hopefully I'm going to be fairly visible despite the sun. Okay, we're going to do another lovely hip control exercise, and it's really, really simple. You're going to straighten one leg out behind you, draw an arc to the side with your big toe, take the leg behind you, tuck back in. Straighten the other leg, do an arc to the side, behind you and back in. Now hopefully my right leg isn't going to disappear. What you are looking for here it's not a complicated exercise. This is all about precision. So as you bring your leg round, you stop when your hip stops moving. You don't keep going further and further, but cheat by moving through your body. And that's what most people do when they start doing this exercise. They think, well, it's good to have bigger movement. Not necessarily at all. Your body has a natural movement range. You want to work within it. You want to be strong within that range. There's no point in pushing it and then finding that you're cheating and actually using another part of your body to create a movement which you didn't actually want or need in the first place. Do one more with each leg. Okay, then keeping on your hands and knees, we're going to do the leg version or leg part of an exercise called swimming. You might know this as Superman, and you're going to straighten one leg out behind and bring it back in, straighten the other leg out behind and back in. You're looking to get your leg horizontal, but this time you're watching, you don't go so far that you arch through your back. So it's different movement to what you've just done, but again, you're looking to be really precise in your body placement because you're moving from your hip and not using your back to get you into that position. Okay, last one. Right, then I would like you to come up so that you are kneeling just on your knees, and we're going to do a bit of rising trot practice, but this is really focusing on the control coming from your hips. Keep your shoulders over your pelvis as you go down and up. If you find that position, flat feet, isn't comfortable, if you can, tuck your toes underneath, and you'll find actually it's often a little bit easier if you can't go all the way down. But I really want you to feel that you are moving from your headlights, so you don't fold forwards. If you're in the saddle and you did that, your weight goes onto the horse's forehand and that puts the horse on its forehand. So shoulders staying over your pelvis, lead through the pelvis, and you're really using your hip muscles here to control this movement. Try to keep relaxed through your arms as well. So really just think about where that movement is coming from. Where's that control coming from? It's coming from your pelvis, it's coming from your hips. Okay, then I'd like you to see if you can come up from here into standing without using your hands. Okay, if you can, try and do this next exercise without holding on. If you need to hold on to something, go for it, that's fine. Hands onto your headlights, and we're just going to do an exercise called the clam, which is much maligned by some people. It's not great if you've got a painful hip. So if you've got something called trochanteric bursitis, if you know you've got that, then you're probably not doing the session anyway. But I like it because it works the leg that you're standing on, because we're doing the standing version, but it also works the muscles on the leg that you're moving by getting some nice rotation into them. Okay, let's swap and have a go on the other leg. So provided it's not painful, I think this is a perfectly good, valid exercise to do to work on strength and balance and movement control. Try to relax through your upper body and make sure you're moving from your hip and your headlights are pointing to the front. Okie doke, bring your feet down, have a little walk on the spot. Okay, then I'd like you to stand with one foot in front of the other. Keep your back heel down and your back knee straight as you go forwards with your pelvis. Then take a little step back, push that back heel down, keeping the knee straight. And again forwards, and a little step back down, stretching, lengthening through that calf. And then we'll swap and pop the feet the other way around, keeping that back heel down, back knee straight, and again forwards. Little step back, push down to lengthen. And when I say lengthen, we're taking your tissues, come back up for a second, you're taking your tissues through their full available length, you're not trying to make them longer. Okay, and again forwards, little step back down, push that heel down, lengthen the calf, straighten the knee, and up you come. And stand, making sure your feet are equal underneath you, so 50-50 left and right, and equal through your feet. Soft knees, relaxed arms and shoulders, breathing into the base of your lungs. And that nice elastic spine helping you to grow an extra inch. So, well done for getting through to the end of that. That was quite a long session, lots to take on board if you are new to this sort of exercise, but I hope you found it really helpful, useful, interesting, highlighted some differences between left and right, highlighted some areas that you really need to work on. Keep checking back in. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, because then you'll get to know when all the videos that I release come on out. So thank you for watching, enjoy yourselves and make sure you're getting plenty of time loving those ponies of yours. Take care, bye bye.